Here's the problem. You can draw a lotus, but it doesn't quite look right. The angles are off, the petals are confusing. That's because you're drawing what you see and not understanding how it's built. By the end of this video, you're going to learn how to properly construct a lotus and draw it from any angle. Let's get into it. Let's start with the foundation. Simple forms as the base. If you notice, we are not starting with the petals, we are starting with structure. Think of the lotus as a container, not as a flower to start with. At this earliest stage, it's just a teardrop form. It looks clean, controlled, and symmetrical. Do you see how I am breaking that form into segments, almost like wrapping bands around it? This is key. These lines are in decoration. They are called contour lines and they inform you about the form of the object. Now, understanding the bud. Watch how the bud evolves from a closed teardrop to a slightly open top, like a vase. It depicts how the bud opens up when flowering. I am going to speed up the video at some points where it is getting repetitive so that the video is not too long. As a whole, I've done all of these sketches within 20 minutes. I'm not randomly drawing petals here. They emerge from the center of the lotus. Each line represents direction and form. Each curve shows where the petals curl. This is what most artists miss. They draw petals individually instead of understanding how they emerge from a single central point. Now we are defining petals. Notice this, I'm not drawing details first. I'm blocking major petal groups, front petals and side petals, and the ones wrapping behind them. Think in layers, like armors or scales. Each petal overlaps the other naturally. Now let's talk about the center. This is where the lotus actually has its point of focus most of the times. Instead of guessing, I'm going to simplify it into a cylindrical form. From there, everything radiates outwards. And now the petals start to feel anchored when you place the center in there first. Not floating, not random, but built. Now we're going to break down the petals and view them in different angles. It's mostly a U shape and then you give some form to it as per what angle you're viewing that petal from. Here's where things come alive. Petals don't just sit flat. They curl, twist and react to gravity. So instead of drawing outlines, I think in planes. Where is it bending? Where is it folding? Where is it catching light? Even a simple curve can tell a story if you place it right. At this stage, we are not just copying references anymore. You are translating them. I'm taking real observations and simplifying them into repeatable shapes. This is the constructive method. And this is what gives you freedom. Because once you understand the logic, you don't need the reference anymore. And now I'm going to show you how this looks in real time. This has not been sped up at all, so that you guys can see how I'm thinking and how I'm processing all the information while I am drawing. To start off with, I'm going to mark out the basic shapes. We always go from big to small, marking out the main shape of the inner petals. Here is the outer petals that I'm drawing. A big part of the process is observing your reference and then trying to translate it by simplifying it enough for paper or as a tattoo. So keep that in mind. Now we are going to draw the individual petals here, keeping it very light. This is where I'm gonna mark out the twisting form of each petal, show some three-dimensionality into this. Marking the center lines. Refining the center a little bit more, and here we start with the outer petals, which are more open, marking out the basic shapes and the centers. This is the last stage of this drawing process, the sketching process. We are refining each of the shapes, each of the petals, and stylizing at the same time. You can see the tip of each petal has been stylized a little bit. And that is the process in a nutshell. Now, I can't tell you how important it is to actually understand and observe, and understand the forms well. Okay, you're drawing the overall shapes, you're refining it later, and then rendering it. I can't tell you how important it is to understand fundamentals of light and shadow, drawing basic and complex forms, understanding perspective. If this helped you see the lotus differently, make sure you hit like. And if you are serious about getting better at tattoo design, subscribe. Now that you guys have watched till this point, I want to add a little bit of a bonus for you all. Here is the shading process in a time lapse, and also a little bit of time lapse on how I would approach the leaves of the lotus. Share this with someone who's still stuck copying. It might change how they approach drawing altogether. And if you want to go deeper into the process, watch the next video on your screen. That's where things really start to click.